Welcome back to BNB Spoilers channel. Today we will learn about the issue surrounding Steffi Forrester Finnegan and her complicated relationship with Luna Nozawa, which has taken a dramatic turn in recent episodes. The unexpected twist in Luna's punishment. What will Steffi's next big move be? This question lingers in the minds of fans as they witness her growing frustration with Luna's lenient punishment. When Lieutenant Baker arrives at Bill Spencer's mansion, Steffi confidently expects Luna to be hauled back to prison. Instead, she receives the shocking news that Luna's prison is actually Bill's luxurious estate, where she serves house arrest with merely an ankle monitor. This arrangement seems utterly unjust to Steffi, who cannot comprehend how a serial killer deserving life imprisonment can enjoy such comfortable confinement. The look of triumph on Luna's face only intensifies Steffi's anger as she realizes that no one, not Lieutenant Baker who claims to be powerless, nor Bill who stubbornly defends his position, stands with her in this fight for justice. Luna's smug attitude, believing she has emerged victorious despite her crimes, pushes Steffi closer to taking matters into her own hands. Luna's desperate attempt at redemption. Luna Nozawa refuses to accept Steffi's rejection of a potential relationship with Finn. Having discovered her biological connection to Finn, Luna clings to the belief that her father's goodness must exist within her as well. She desperately wants to prove to Steffi that she can change, that redemption is possible even after her heinous actions. This newfound determination stems from Luna's desire to forge a connection with her newfound family, particularly with Finn. However, her past actions, including imprisoning Steffi in a cage and leaving her for dead, make her pleas for forgiveness seem hollow and self-serving. The contrast between Luna's hopeful outlook and Steffi's resolute stance creates a palpable tension that threatens to erupt into something more dangerous. Steffi's unwavering position. Steffi Forrester Finnegan has made her position crystal clear: Luna will never have a relationship with John Finn Finnegan. Her adamant stance comes from a place of profound trauma and protective instinct toward her family. Steffi's life, which she desperately wants to live peacefully with her husband and children, has been repeatedly disrupted by Finn's problematic relations. The revelation of Sheila Carter as her mother-in-law on her wedding day was traumatic enough. Now, discovering that Luna, the woman who imprisoned and nearly killed her, is her stepdaughter feels like a cruel cosmic joke. Steffi's patience has worn thin, and her tolerance for second chances has evaporated completely. She wants Luna behind bars, not living in luxury while serving a sentence that seems more like a vacation than punishment. Bill Spencer's controversial role. Bill Spencer's involvement in Luna's situation adds another layer of complexity to this already tangled web. His insistence on providing Luna with comfortable accommodations during her house arrest directly opposes Steffi's desire for justice. Bill's stubborn refusal to reconsider his position places him squarely in Steffi's crosshairs. The mansion that serves as Luna's prison represents everything wrong with the justice system in Steffi's eyes. It symbolizes privilege, unfairness, and the failure to properly punish those who commit terrible crimes. Bill's wealth and influence have created a situation where Luna enjoys luxuries most law-abiding citizens could only dream of, all while supposedly serving time for her crimes. The legal system's limitations. Lieutenant Baker's admission of powerlessness highlights the frustrating limitations of the legal system. Despite Steffi's passionate plea for justice, Baker can only enforce the terms of Luna's sentence as they have been established. This bureaucratic roadblock further inflames Steffi's sense of injustice and abandonment by institutions meant to protect victims. The contrast between what Steffi believes punishment should entail and Luna's current living conditions couldn't be more stark. In Steffi's mind, Luna should be confined to a cell, facing the consequences of her actions daily. Instead, Luna has everything she could ever want or need despite her criminal history, making a mockery of justice and Steffi's suffering. The isolation of Steffi's position. Perhaps most painful for Steffi is the realization that she stands alone in her fight. Her calls for justice fall on deaf ears, with no allies to support her cause. This isolation intensifies her determination but also places her in a vulnerable position where desperation might lead to rash decisions. As viewers, we're left wondering what lengths Steffi might go to in her pursuit of justice. Will she work within the system, finding legal loopholes to challenge Luna's current arrangement? Or will her frustration push her toward more extreme measures that could potentially backfire and cause further complications? What lies ahead? The stage is set for a dramatic confrontation between these two women, with Finn inevitably caught in the middle. Steffi's next move remains uncertain, but one thing is clear: she will not rest until she feels justice has been properly served. The question of whether Luna can truly change hangs in the balance, as does the stability of Steffi and Finn's marriage under this tremendous strain. As this storyline unfolds, viewers can expect heightened emotions, unexpected alliances, and perhaps even more shocking revelations that could forever change the dynamics between these characters. The battle between Steffi's desire for justice and Luna's hope for redemption promises to deliver compelling drama in the episodes to come. Next, we will learn about the issue brewing between Lee Finnegan and her sister Poppy Nozawa that's about to explode into a potentially life-threatening confrontation. A deadly confrontation looms. Will Poppy leave town now that all of this has come out? This question hangs in the air like a storm cloud as the shocking family drama unfolds. The revelation of Luna's paternity has set in motion a chain of events that could permanently alter the Finnegan family dynamic. Poppy's continued presence in Los Angeles seems increasingly untenable as the truth spreads like wildfire through the family circle, leaving destruction in its wake. The tension between the sisters has escalated beyond mere family squabbling into something far more dangerous. With Lee's medical training, her knowledge of human anatomy makes her rage all the more threatening. Her fingers, once used to heal and save lives, now press against her sister's windpipe with deadly intent. The irony isn't lost on those witnessing this transformation. A doctor sworn to do no harm now stands at the precipice of committing the ultimate act of violence. Can Finn convince Lee to back off before it is too late? The young doctor finds himself in an impossible position, torn between his biological mother who betrayed him and the woman who raised him, now teetering on the edge of committing a heinous crime. His intervention could be the only thing standing between Poppy and certain death, forcing him to act quickly despite his own emotional turmoil. The psychological impact of witnessing his adoptive mother's violent breakdown while simultaneously processing the revelation about his biological mother creates an unprecedented crisis for Finn's usually steady composure. Chances are that Finn will end up coming to Poppy's rescue, although he may wonder why. Despite the profound betrayal he feels, Finn's inherent goodness and medical oath compel him to prevent violence. This moment represents a critical crossroads for his character. Can he set aside his own feelings of betrayal to save the woman who concealed his parentage for decades? The complexity of his emotions in this moment would be overwhelming for anyone, let alone someone who just discovered his entire origin story was built on deception. Lee's violent outburst. Then Lee puts her hands around Poppy's neck and begins to strangle her. Who will be the one to save Poppy before Lee chokes her to death for what she has done? The shocking physical assault represents an unprecedented break in Lee's usually controlled demeanor. The distinguished surgeon, known for her steady hands in the operating room, now uses those same hands as weapons against her own sister. The transformation from respected medical professional to would-be murderer happens in mere seconds, catching everyone, including Poppy, completely off guard. The strangulation scene unfolds in the elegant living room of Lee's meticulously maintained home, a space once representing order and control now becoming the setting for chaos and violence. Poppy's eyes widen in terror as she realizes her sister's rage has crossed into dangerous territory. Her attempts to speak, to perhaps offer explanations or apologies, are cut off by Lee's tightening grip. The ticking clock of oxygen deprivation creates a terrifying countdown that someone must interrupt before the unthinkable happens. Lee will tell Poppy exactly what she thinks about her after what she has done. The verbal lashing preceding the physical attack contains decades of pent-up resentment, disappointment, and newly discovered betrayal. Lee's words cut deeper than any surgical instrument, laying bare not just Poppy's transgressions but also the fundamental character flaws Lee has always suspected in her sister. The verbal evisceration is clinical in its precision, identifying every way Poppy has failed as a sister, as a mother, and as a decent human being. Lee wants nothing more than to make her sister pay for taking advantage of her son. This desire for retribution consumes Lee entirely, blinding her to consequences and pushing her toward an act that would destroy not just Poppy's life but her own as well. The distinguished doctor's carefully constructed life, her prestigious career, her reputation, her relationship with her son, all hang in the balance as rage overwhelms reason. The irony that Lee might lose everything in her attempt to punish Poppy for past transgressions is lost on her in the heat of the moment. The root of Lee's fury. Poppy was old enough to know better. Lee is more upset that her sister would take advantage of her son. This aspect of the betrayal particularly infuriates Lee. The age difference between Poppy and the young college student Finn represents a profound breach of trust and responsibility. In Lee's mind, Poppy wasn't just a woman who had a relationship with her son, she was a predator who targeted a vulnerable young man still finding his way in the world. The power imbalance in that relationship forms the core of Lee's rage, beyond even the decades of deception that followed. The calculated nature of Poppy's actions, in Lee's perspective, eliminates any possibility of forgiveness. While a momentary indiscretion might eventually be forgiven, the deliberate seduction of her nephew followed by the conscious decision to hide Luna's paternity for over 2 decades represents a level of manipulation Lee finds unforgivable. Each time Lee looks at her sister, she now sees not just the betrayal but the countless opportunities Poppy had to come clean but chose not to. Of course, Lee is mad because Poppy didn't tell the truth to Finn. The years of deception compound the original transgression, multiplying Lee's anger exponentially. Every birthday, every holiday, every milestone in Luna's life represents a moment when Poppy could have revealed the truth but instead chose to perpetuate the lie. The cumulative weight of these missed opportunities for honesty crushes any sympathy Lee might have otherwise felt for her sister's situation. Lee feels guilty for not protecting her son. After all, Lee put Poppy in that house where she could seduce Finn and have a child with him. Beneath Lee's rage lies a deeper, more painful emotion, guilt. As Finn's mother, she believes she failed in her most fundamental duty, protecting her child. This self-recrimination fuels her anger toward Poppy, as it's easier to direct all her negative emotions outward than to fully process her own feelings of failure. The fact that she unwittingly created the circumstances that led to Poppy's betrayal adds a layer of bitter irony to Lee's suffering. The complicated past. Lee had experienced issues with her husband for years because she could not trust him. Poppy is the reason why Lee divorced Jack Finnegan when she found out about Sheila Carter. The revelation about Finn's biological connection to Luna reopens old wounds regarding Jack's deception about Sheila. Lee had already weathered one devastating family secret when she learned Finn was adopted and that Jack had concealed Sheila's identity as Finn's birth mother. This new betrayal involving Poppy feels like history repeating itself in the cruelest way possible, confirming Lee's deepest fears that she cannot trust those closest to her. The parallels between Jack's deception and Poppy's lie create a painful symmetry in Lee's life. Both the husband she loved and the sister she trusted concealed crucial truths about her son's parentage. This pattern of betrayal surrounding Finn's origins makes Lee question every relationship in her life, wondering what other secrets might be lurking beneath seemingly honest interactions. The psychological toll of having her trust repeatedly violated has pushed Lee to a breaking point where violence seems like the only adequate response. However, Lee mistakenly assumed that Poppy had an affair with her husband and got pregnant while she was living there. This misunderstanding reveals the complex web of suspicions and assumptions that has characterized the sisters' relationship for decades. Lee's readiness to believe the worst about both her husband and her sister speaks to the fundamental lack of trust that has defined her closest relationships. The bitter irony that the truth is actually worse than what she imagined, that Poppy seduced not Jack but their son, makes the revelation all the more devastating. Lee knew that something was going on with Poppy at her house. Her intuition had detected undercurrents of secrecy during Poppy's stay, but she misinterpreted the signs, focusing her suspicions on her already untrustworthy husband rather than considering her son might be involved. This failure of imagination prevented Lee from discovering the truth years ago, allowing the deception to continue for decades until it exploded with maximum destructive force. The realization that she sensed something amiss but failed to identify the true nature of the problem only intensifies Lee's self-recrimination. The initial betrayal. Poppy helped herself to Lee's son, Finn, an impressionable young man in college trying to get his degree. The image of young Finn, brilliant but inexperienced, focused on his studies and unaware of Poppy's true intentions, heightens the sense of violation Lee feels. In her mind, Poppy deliberately targeted Finn during a formative period when he was particularly vulnerable to manipulation from an older, more experienced woman. The predatory nature of this seduction, as Lee perceives it, transforms what might have been merely inappropriate into something unforgivably exploitative. The setting of this betrayal, the family home where Lee had welcomed her sister, adds another layer of violation to Poppy's actions. The sacred space of the Finnegan household, meant to be a safe haven for young Finn as he pursued his education, became the site of Poppy's transgression. Every room now holds potential memories of their secret encounters, tainting Lee's recollections of that period in their lives and contaminating the very concept of home that she had worked so hard to create for her family. Lee allowed her sister to stay in her house because she had nowhere to stay at the time. Lee needed help around that house and trusted Poppy to do as she asked. The generosity Lee extended to her sister makes the betrayal all the more painful. Taking in a struggling family member represents one of the most fundamental expressions of familial love and obligation. For that kindness to be repaid with such a profound violation of trust creates a particularly bitter flavor of betrayal. Lee's act of compassion unwittingly set the stage for decades of deception that would eventually threaten to destroy her family. However, instead of helping out with the housework, etc., Poppy helped herself to Lee's son, Finn, an impressionable young man in college trying to get his degree. The stark contrast between what was expected of Poppy, simple household assistance, and what actually transpired underscores the magnitude of her betrayal. Rather than contributing positively to the household as promised, Poppy's actions planted the seeds for decades of family turmoil. The casual way she disregarded her sister's trust in pursuit of her own desires reveals a selfishness that Lee now sees as Poppy's defining characteristic. The recent reconciliation. Lee Finnegan has recently made up with her sister Poppy Nozawa. However, Lee is about to learn that she buried that hatchet too quickly and will be furious. The timing of their reconciliation adds a cruel twist to the unfolding drama. Just as Lee had opened her heart to forgiveness, allowing herself to believe in the possibility of a genuine sisterly bond, this devastating truth emerges to shatter any hope of authentic reconciliation. The brief period of harmony makes the impending explosion all the more dramatic, highlighting how quickly family relationships can transform from healing to homicidal. The bold and the beautiful spoilers reveal that Lee will try to single-handedly strangle her sister for her past deeds. Will Poppy survive? This question looms large as the confrontation approaches. The physical danger Poppy faces represents the ultimate consequence of decades of deception. The medical professional who has dedicated her life to saving others now stands ready to take a life, not just any life, but that of her own sister. This stark contradiction between Lee's professional ethics and her current intentions illustrates the profound depth of her sense of betrayal. It seems that Lee is about to learn that she has been a grandmother for over 20 years and knew nothing about it. The realization that she has been denied the opportunity to know her biological granddaughter during her formative years adds another dimension to Lee's rage. Beyond the betrayal involving Finn, Lee must now process the theft of her relationship with Luna, years of birthdays, graduations, and milestones that can never be recovered. The irrevocable nature of this loss, time with Luna that can never be reclaimed, makes forgiveness seem not just difficult but impossible. Obviously, someone in Steffi's family may get to Lee with this information more quickly than Finn can get to her. Whatever the case, Lee is not happy at all. The source of this revelation adds another layer of humiliation to Lee's experience. The fact that others in their social circle might learn this family secret before Lee has had a chance to process it privately compounds her sense of violation. The public nature of this deeply personal revelation strips Lee of control over her own narrative, forcing her to react to life-altering information while still processing its implications. As the drama unfolds between these sisters, viewers are left wondering whether any relationship could survive such a profound betrayal. The complex emotions driving Lee's violent response, rage, betrayal, guilt, and grief for opportunities lost, create a perfect storm that threatens to destroy multiple lives.